Hi, everybody. Good morning from San Miguel de Allende in central Mexico. So, yeah, before presenting today's presentation, I have a question. Look at this image, this guy here and this woman here, and my question is this: who's right? The guy is saying, well, of course, it's a six. And the woman is saying, no, what are you talking about? It's a nine. So the question is, who's right? Just think about it for a moment. Well, the answer is both are right. Both are right from their own perspective. So he's going to just defend his, and she's going to defend her point of view. And that's going to end in maybe a divorce if they're married. Anyway, so, well, what's missing here? What's missing is that they have to do something in order to see that the other person is also right. And this is called, if they don't do this, this is called confirmation bias, where you basically just accept information that goes along with your opinions or your point of view. So what has to happen? What has to happen is that one of them or both of them have to be open to seeing the perspective of the other person. And that means crossing over to the other side. So that's an interesting, I thought it was an interesting question. And this is what we're really facing in many instances in today's world. You know, we have different points of view. There's so many issues going on. And one of the problems is we just stick with our own point of view with actually opening up to see, well, what is the other side looking at? So I found this, let's see if I can get, oh, here it is. Okay. So I found this interesting quote I thought from, well, this person named Akash Abhijit. I never heard of him, but I sort of like it. And basically what he's saying is what we saw in that previous slide. Everyone has their own perspective. Maybe it cannot be changed, but it can be understood. So analyze before opposing, listen before talking, and understand before concluding. So this gets us to my presentation for today, which is our body's self-healing powers. So, you know, where I'm coming from is a certain perspective, and what I'm asking you, you know, whoever is watching this, to open up to the possibility of seeing things from my perspective, at least for this presentation. So my perspective is I'm 80 years old. I've been, I'm healthy. I don't have a chronic disease. I haven't been sick, well, hardly at all for the last 12 years, and not even a cold, not a fever. And, you know, for me, 80 years is just a number. You know, for many people, it's not just a number because the life expectancy is around this, you know, 80 years, 78 years, 80 years. So, you know, maybe I should be on my way out, you know, but I don't feel that way, you know. So I'm looking at this, it's not really life expectancy, which is how old you are chronologically, but it's the health, you know, your health age, which is more important than the actual years you've been on this planet. So anyway, so our body's life, these self-healing powers, which I've discovered through these many years, and mostly during these past 12 years, where I've been following a whole food, plant-based diet, and other lifestyle choices I've made along the way. So our bodies' self-healing powers uh, are amazing. You know, they really are. And in today's world, you don't hear much about it by our leading doctors or, health authorities. They don't talk about that. So the next question I have is, well, what is a myth? That's MYTH. What is a myth? A myth is a belief we've had, that we believed it was absolutely true, and then at one point or another, it's proven to be wrong. And I can give you an example of that. For example, there was one point in time when we believed that the sun, rotated around the Earth, and this was believed for maybe thousands of years. And until Copernicus and Galileo, well, Galileo came up with the telescope, they proved that it was the opposite was true. And this was hard for people, scientists, and even the church to accept because it meant an amazing change in our perception of what was really happening. But this, happened. And another myth was that the earth was flat. And now we know the earth was round, except for some people who still believe it's flat. So another myth, which is maybe easy for us to understand, is Santa Claus. When we're a child, when a child, believes in Santa Claus, even promoted by parents, and then one day, as the child grows up, it's a myth. It's not true. Santa Claus does not exist. So I wanted to go to a couple of myths that we believe is many people believe. One is getting chronic disease is a normal consequence of aging, and we're told that, well, you're this, so and so, well, you're 80 years old, you're 75, your heart, but this is normal. This is, we have to go somewhere, some way. So 66, 2/3 of the people who die, in the United States and even worldwide, die from either heart disease or cancer. And so it's, you have to go, you go, with a kind of chronic disease. And the other one is that the strength of our immune system weakens as we age. And we're hearing a lot of that, with the pandemic. As a child has a stronger immune system. So, they don't have that much of a problem with the virus. And as you get older, your immune system is not as strong, and eventually it wanes, and until you get to an old age where you have a weakened immune system. But both of these are just myths. They're not. They don't have to be true. And there's so many people that are becoming creative in their later years, that have strong immune systems that are healthy. So this is not true, and that's I guess the basis of this presentation. So anybody recognize this character? Well, this person? Some people say, well, it looks like, well, definitely either a Roman or a Greek. And most people say it's Socrates, but it's not Socrates. It happens that it's, well, here's a hint, the father of modern medicine. Hippocrates. Hippocrates lived about 2,500 years ago, and he's the father of modern medicine. That's why most universities, medical schools, the students take the Hippocratic Oath, which is basically how to care for their patient and not to harm the patient, and for doctors, as the years go by, to pass on new discoveries in medicine to help doctors cure diseases. So I became interested in Socrates. I did a lot of investigation and reading about his life. And I came upon this quote, which really interested me. Of course, Hippocrates is well known as a holistic doctor. So that's the basis of his medicine. So this quote I found was, I really liked it. Everyone has a doctor in him or her. We just have to help it in its work. The natural healing force within each one of us is the greatest force in getting well. And then he goes on to say, well, another quote, which is most, I guess, his most well-known quote, is our food should be our medicine, our food. So I'm looking at this top quote, and it's a doctor. I have a doctor in me that all I have to do is to help it in its work, and that's it. The natural healing force within each one of us is the greatest force in getting well. And I don't know if we look at it this way, that we do have a doctor inside of us. You know, we have a doctor outside, the ones we go to, we have an appointment. So it ends up that, for example, you break a bone, the doctor puts a cast on, and it heals. It's not the doctor or the cast that's healing, it's actually the body that's healing itself. The same goes with, we get a burn, we put something on it, the body is curing itself. And cuts, doctor, you go to and have a cut, a big cut, and you go to the doctor, and he puts some stitches in there, and the skin grows, and the body is healing itself. And that's what it's been doing since we've been alive. It's been healing itself. It's been doing, there's so many thousands of processes that go on within our body, that the body is constantly trying to be well. That's what the body wants. We want to be well. We don't want to be sick. The body doesn't want to be sick either. The body is constantly trying to keep us well, keep us healthy. And all we have to do, according to what he's saying, is that we just have to help it in its work, and not get in its way, and let the body do its job. So I'll continue with the next slide. Here we have a car. Well, what do these two figures have in common? They're both brand new. And we have a brand new car, we have a brand new baby, and for the most part, they're working perfectly well when they're brand new. There is instances when this is not the case. I remember that, you may buy a car and we used to call it a lemon, that it's a new car, but there's something wrong with it. And the same thing can happen with a human, but in most cases, the great majority, 99%, they're both working well at birth. So new means, no problems. And then time goes by, and, things start happening. A car, you may need, a new radiator, or, something goes wrong with the fans, or the fan belts. Little by little things go wrong, and the car gets, the parts get replaced. And basically, the same thing happens with humans. We're born with a clean slate, and then eventually things start going wrong, and we get sick, and as time goes by, the thing with cars, you can get replacement parts, and now you can get replacement parts as a human being. But the one thing that's different is that the human body can self-heal and repair itself. And that's what it does. A car cannot do that. So one of the examples that I wanted to share with you is the cell reparation and regeneration. And I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but cells replenish themselves, and that's what they do. And you're getting new cells, after a certain amount of time. So in a way, you're brand new, your cells are brand new every so often. For example, red blood cells, this is an example, they get completely replaced within 4 months. And skin cells, 2 to 4 weeks. And the reason that some have longer, lifespans, but that's what we talked about, the lifespan of a cell. The reason we have different lifespans is because each of these cells, they face their situation, their environment. For example, skin cells will last only 2 to 4 weeks because skin cells are faced with the external, environment, the sun and, what's in the air. So they get replaced from every 2 to 4 weeks. Liver cells we have here, they live longer, but they get replaced. Stomach and intestine cells, 5 days, stomach cells, and it said they go through a lot. They get their environment with the food that comes to digestion, the acid that's involved in the stomach, for example. So they're getting replaced every 5 days. Bone cells every 10 years. Brain cells, interesting, once. So your brain cells last a lifetime. And that's why, it's so important to take care of your brain, because, it eventually leads to, diseases of the brain, senility or Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease. So they're not replaceable, the brain cells. And one interesting, the cells of the taste bud, which is very interesting because they're replaced every 2 weeks. So if you have, that's why some people may find if you switch from a diet, if you switch your diet, for example, you want to give up, if you eat a lot of salt, and you're used to it, you're accustomed to the salt. If you stop eating salt in about 2 to 3 weeks, if you start eating salt again, you will have it. It'll be very salty because you have new cells, new taste buds, and that's what happens, with the food we eat when we're changing diets, for example. So you may think, well, we're getting our red blood, our cells replaced every so often. How come we don't live forever? Well, because just like cells, everything in the universe lives and dies, and the same thing with us, because there are other factors, but we have the power to influence the cells to keep them healthy while they're alive. And if we can keep our cells healthy by what we eat and our lifestyle choices, then we will feel healthy. We will feel well. And for example, keeping our skin, healthy, maybe not going out into the sun that much or not for long periods, will keep our skin healthy. So there will be a healthy skin cells. And for example, this is one thing. If we consume too many oils in our food, the research is showing that that oils can affect the epithelial cells of our inner lining of the arteries. And what do epithelial cells? They produce nitric oxide, and nitric oxide has an important function. And what it does, it protects the inner lining of our arteries by making it more flexible. In other words, it's the expanding and retraction of our arteries that allow the blood to flow freely. And also nitric oxide forms a layer sort of like Teflon, so that things don't stick to it. So if we have consume too many oils, they will not, the epithelial cells may be damaged and will not produce the nitric oxide that it needs to have healthy arteries. So this is the influence we can have over ourselves. So the question is, how do we help our inner doctor do his work and support our body's natural healing power? Well, It starts with the correct fuel. So what do we know? We know cars. We know the fuel they get. The gasoline powered cars. You give them the proper fuel, and they will work well. It ends up you instead of gasoline, or you combine the gasoline with water or oil, and you start having problems with the car. What about humans? Well, that's an interesting question because humans don't seem to know that well what is the best thing to eat. How do I know that? Well, you can look at Wikipedia, and Wikipedia has a listing of over 100 different diets. They have diets, high fat diets, low fat diets. They have, people, eating meat is good for you, plant-based diets, vegetarian diets, pescatarian diets. So humans, not like animals. Animals don't seem to have that problem. You have the dog seems to know what's good for it. A cat doesn't have no. I have a cat. It knows what it likes. It knows what its food is, what its correct fuel is. The same thing with crocodiles and hippopotamus, gorillas, elephants. They don't seem to have any problem knowing what the best food is for them. But humans, it's another story. So, and why is that? Well, in one sense, we've been taught from birth. I was taught from birth it was a certain type of diet, the basic seven, and meat was very important, and dairy and eggs were very important. So we started eating what we were told in school by our parents, by the doctors, and that's what we did. But what we didn't know is that the information we were getting was also supported by industries. For example, the agricultural industry wanted you to eat meat, so it promoted meat. The dairy industry wanted you to eat dairy, so it promoted dairy, which included, the milk and the cheeses, etc. And the egg industry, the same thing, and it promoted that. So we basically were being influenced by industries that were interested in making sure that they were making, profits, and their shareholders and their investors were also making profits. So there was a tremendous amount of influence from that, and there were just the other thing, the other problem we have is our taste buds. I don't know if you've ever thought of it as a problem, but our taste buds, we can become addicted to certain types of tastes, which are basically salt, sugar, and fats. So there's an industry that was promoting foods that we can become addicted to. So that when we become addicted to the salt, the sugar, and the fats, it's not easy to break it. So all these influences have caused a lot of confusion. So how do we know, well, anyways, so how do we know what the best food is for us to eat? So this is what basically the standard American diet is. It's called SAD, I put it in parentheses. And that's basically, meat, dairy, eggs, the largest part of the diet, and then includes also salads and vegetables and fruits and nuts and seeds. So, but basically, it's a high fat and also a low carbohydrate diet. So, is that a correct diet for human beings? Well, then I put it, the SAD, is there a connection? Unfortunately, what's the result of eating this? Well, we know that, these diseases are, very common, and heart disease, cancer, type 2 diabetes. These are, some of the diseases that we in the West, the people on a standard American diet, are experiencing, and things are not getting any better. So are these diseases, how do we know then with these diseases, how do we know what is the best diet for us to eat? What are the best foods to eat? Well, let's go to the other side of the world. These diseases are rare in these places. Rural China, rural Japan, Nepal, and other African countries, and also the blue zones. Now, the blue zones were founded by Dan Wetna. He worked for National Geographic, and this was years ago. And National Geographic gave him a task, and the task was to travel around the world to find out where the longest living people and the healthiest people in the world live. So that's what he did. It was he did a 2-year study, and these are the 5 places: and Okinawa, Japan; Loma Linda, California; Nicoya, Costa Rica; the island of Icaria in Greece; and Sardinia in Italy. So what did he find? What did he wanted to find? Well, what do these places have in common? And they're all whole food plant power. Now, I'm not saying that it's 100% because they eat some places eat a little fish, a little meat, and but basically it's over 90% of their diet is plant-based, and it's whole food plant-based. So this is very interesting, and that's where I'm the basis of this whole presentation is the fact that if you want to live longer, if you want to have less lessen the possibility of getting these diseases, then the importance is to change to a plant-powered diet. And that's what it's these places, these people, these populations are showing us. So important plant nutrients that keep our immune system health in top shape. So these are the different vitamins that are found in plants that are essential for us. And I'm not going to go all through them because it take a lot of time. You can just look at them, and if you're watching this, you could freeze this and just see which the vegetables are included. Vegetables and grains and cereals, fruits are included, are important for these vitamins. And then we move on to these are the keys to helping the body do its work. We have whole food plant-based nutrition. To me, it's 70% of importance to maintaining a healthy body. And then we have the other lifestyle choices. Exercise, very important. It doesn't have to be extreme exercise. It could be moderate exercises. Also, the importance of keep moving. In other words, we have a tendency, because we're on the computer so much and are sitting down watching TV, get up every once in a while, every half hour, walk around. And it's really important. If you can have some activities where you can keep moving, that would be wonderful. Whether it's just gardening or walking your dog. Try not to live a sedentary existence, or as we call it, becoming a couch potato. This is very important, avoiding excess stress. Stress has been so important during the pandemic and what's happening now in the world. It's important to reduce the stress, because stress can really influence and cause chaos among our immune system by producing the different stress hormones, cortisol being the one long-term, poor benefits. So, avoid excess stress through meditation, through practice of yoga, doing exercise, Tai Chi. There's different things you can do to avoid excess stress. And nose breathing, this is something I've come across, which has been very important for me. It's important to breathe through the nose. Most people, or more than half of the 50% of the people, breathe through their mouth. And mouth is for eating, the nose is for breathing. So it's important to breathe through your nose, practice that. I'll be getting into these in other presentations. Sufficient and quality sleep according to your needs. If you need 8 hours of sleep to feel good, then that's what you get. If you need 6 hours, 7 hours, but make sure it's quality sleep. And developing positive relationships. It's important to have caring relationships with people because, that's what we really love to have. Uh, Also, and then there's purpose, purpose in your life. Do you have a gift? Can you sing? Can you paint? Are you an artist? Do you like to take care of people? Something that gives you purpose is very important, especially as you get older. So in the future presentations, I'll be going through different lifestyle choices. And for now, I'll just leave it as that. And then to finish up, I just have one more thing, and that is this is from Prem Rawat, just a little quote. Over the years, I've seen that inherited ideas can be a block to us learning something new, whereas what we've learned through experiences encourages us to open up to a world of possibilities. Perhaps we gain more confidence from experience than from ideas. And Prem Rawat is one of my teachers. And with that, I just end this presentation.